Hey, welcome back to another collection talk. Today, we're going to be talking about Shin Megami Tensei. So, my first experience with SMT, I think, goes back all the way to like 2004. I remember I was in on a trip, a family trip with my parents. We were in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I remember going to a game store. It was a local game store, and I saw Demi Kids. I believe it was the light version, and I thought the pentagram and everything on there looked pretty sick. So naturally, I got it, and I'm kicking myself now. I ended up trading that game in a few years later. I think I didn't have it for very long. I think I bought it for like $15 at the time, and now, with the prices as they are, I'm kicking myself. I'm trying to remember why I ever traded it in the first place, and I think it was just, I was young at the time. I can't remember how young I was, but I was young enough that I didn't really understand the combat, and it was too hard. Even Demi Kids, which I think is supposed to be easier than SMT as like kind of a gateway thing, right? It was just way too hard, and I ended up trading it in, and I don't think I really experienced or came across any sort of SMT related stuff for quite a while. It was a few years later, I saw my friend's brother. We went to his house, and he was playing Persona 3.
Hey, want to listen to some tunes?
And I remember just looking at it and watching him play it for a few hours probably, and being mesmerized, just the more from the way it looked than anything. And I think that sums up my relationship with SMT pretty well. Is most of the games I have a really hard time getting into gameplay wise, but aesthetically it's like by far one of my favorite series and franchises of all time, just because of the art in most of the games. Especially, the PS2 era games were a huge influence on my own aesthetic preference in like character design, world building, all of that sort of stuff. Especially with games like Digital Devil Saga. I didn't own Digital Devil Saga until much later. I think I bought it like 2020, a few years ago, and still have yet to play it. But I remember seeing videos and reviews and stuff, back in 2010, 2011, stuff like that, and just being so enamored by the way it looked. Kaneko's work as like character designer and demon designer on pretty much all of these games, right? Like stuff like Persona 2, Digital Devil Saga, all of the Devil Summoner games, all of the Sega Saturn games like Soul Hackers and stuff. His character designs were imprinted onto my mind for so long, and for years after I found all of these games and I watched them and I played them on emulators and stuff, I was drawing every character that if I was making up a character, or I was drawing a person, I would put that fucking lip on everything I drew. And to this day, I still think a lot of my preference in character design comes from, a lot of these games. But yeah, after Persona 3, after I saw that, not long after that, I ended up buying a copy of that myself. And then I also bought a copy of Persona 4, but I never actually played the PS2 Persona 4, and it went on the shelf as soon as I bought it and solidified its place in its dusty grave on the shelf forever. Then in 2012, I bought Persona 4 Golden on release date. I missed my pre-order on the Golden Edition, and I'm still mad. But Persona 4 Golden ended up becoming one of my favorite games for a long, long time. And I was kicking myself for not playing the PS2 version sooner. And so after I beat Golden and I poured so many hours into it, I went back and I did end up playing the PS2 version. And then around this time, I was super into collecting PlayStation 2 games. I ended up finding the Devil Summoner games for pretty cheap, which now is next to impossible. And then at the same time, I started buying up the PSP games. I bought, P3P, Persona 3 Portable, and then Persona 2. I think that's the Innocent Sin, Persona 2 Innocent Sin. And then, a few years later, it was SMT 4. And prior to SMT 4, within this whole time of buying up the PS2 games, I also tried to get into the older SMT games. I never actually tried to play Nocturne at that time, but I did try to get into games like Strange Journey and the PSP games like SMT2. And it was just a slog for me at the time. And I think it's a little better now, but back then I just had monkey brain, right? I couldn't pay attention for that long, right? And so it was hard for me to get through battles where it's just still portraits and demons are just still images, and I was wanting something more flashy. And around that time was also when I first played Devil Survivor, and Devil Survivor did help me get into some of these games, just through more of a flashy interface, I guess, and being able to move characters around on grids and stuff. That was a really, really fun game to me, but I could never get into the dungeon crawling, still portraits, menu navigation and all of that stuff. But then came along SMT4, and I remember really enjoying SMT4 for what I played. I didn't end up finishing it back then. I have finished it now, and it was a lot easier to get into, just with the ability to move around in 3D space, and there were more flashy animations for attacks and stuff like that. So that was the game that really got me into mainline SMT. And then after SMT4, I never played Apocalypse. I had sort of avoided it because people were saying it was, more of the same and it wasn't as good. Fast forward a few years after that, we got Nocturne HD Remaster. And this was my first foray into Nocturne, and it was it was fun. I really enjoyed finally getting to experience all of the things that you hear about over the years, like getting your ass handed to you by Matador. That's always great. And just, everything about it. The atmosphere is so good. The character designs and demon designs are some of my favorites in the series, I think. And, the whole vibe of it, the dark vibe of it, was really, really cool to me. Interspersed through all of these mainline and Persona games, I did try some of the spin-offs like Dancing All Night and Persona Q, but I was never able to really get into them. They were more just shelf filler at this point in my life. But I did enjoy music that came from a lot of these games, so that was one thing that helped me stay invested in the series while there was lapses between mainline games, and I would just sort of wait for a spin-off so I could look at the art and listen to the music. The next noteworthy release after SMT 4 was probably Persona 5, I think, and Persona 5 absolutely skyrocketed this series into mainstream. I remember when it came out and it was getting its start, and then within a few months to a year, it seemed like Persona 5 became everybody and their grandma's favorite RPG. And to this day, if you ask somebody like, what is your favorite RPG, or what is your favorite SMT game, they will go for Persona 5. What is your favorite RPG in general? I think a lot of people are going to say Persona 5. And, I don't know if I would agree that much. I did enjoy it. I don't know if I enjoyed it more than 4. 4, I enjoyed the atmosphere of 4 more than 5, but 5 was definitely nicer to look at. Taking breaks in between sessions, I would just scroll through menus, watching animations and stuff. And yeah, it was fun. I don't know if I finished it. I don't think I finished it on PS3 when it first came out. It was a few years after it came out that I finally sat down and played the whole thing. And it was great, Strikers was okay. I did play Strikers. And that was, I think, the only real spin-off game that I ever really enjoyed playing. After Persona 5, there was kind of a big drought in between, any new releases. We had the HD remaster and stuff like that, but we didn't get anything, I don't think, until SMT 5. SMT 5, I think, safe to say, is probably my favorite game in the series so far. And that's purely down to just gameplay and stuff now. I enjoyed the more flashy stuff, right? There's actual attack animations, 3D models, all that stuff that I really, really enjoyed. Story-wise, it was okay. I don't know if it was better than some of the other ones. SMT 4's story, as bare bones as most stories in SMT games are, was interesting. And I don't know if this one peaks. I don't know if this one is peak storytelling for the series, but it was fun. It was really fun. And when was that? Was it 2020, 2021 when it came out? It was probably my game of the year. I played a lot of it. So yeah, I think that's it. I just wanted to come on and share my love for the series, my experience with the series. Like I said, I think my relationship with the series is kind of a love-hate relationship, where I try to play every release because of the way they look, and I really love the art in every single game, but the gameplay in the older games, at least, every newer SMT or Persona game that's come out has been, fun, and it's a lot more engaging for my, ADHD brain. But the old games I would like to go back, and maybe now I have a bit more patience and I'd like to go back and try to play them. But for now, I mean, they're there on the shelf, and I enjoy them on the shelf just for the way they look. And, the memories of just looking through countless scans and art books and everything else. Even if I didn't play them, I still consider these some of my favorite games ever, just due to that aesthetic and the atmosphere. And even if I only spend a few hours in the opening areas, it still imprints on my mind, and it sticks with me. And I think that's what every game tries to do, right? Stick with you. Hey, sorry for the interruption. Welcome to very far into the future collection talk here. It's been a long time since I started that video that you just watched up until now, and since I started that video, a new game has released, so I just wanted to talk about that, and I have a few opinions on it. So this just came out not too long ago. This is the giant collector's edition with the Aegis figure that I paid way too much for, an ungodly amount. So if you are interested in seeing what's in here and how it looks, I will be doing an unboxing video that will be going up very soon after this one, so keep a lookout for that. This game, being that Persona 3 was the first game that I really got into in terms of, the look of it and the atmosphere and everything like that, this game, I would say the game improves on the visuals. In terms of characters, they look a little more anime-like. They're sort of coming in line with what Persona 5 had done. And, of course, the Persona models, or the demon models, are way better now. They look like they're in line with, the Persona 5 and then the Shin Megami Tensei 5 ones as well. And I think overall, coming back to it, I haven't played it myself. We got it last week on Monday, and my wife has been no-lifing it for the last week. And once she's done, then I'll play it. I'll have some more opinions on it and whatnot. But from what I've seen, it looks really good. It looks, a lot cleaner than the old one, a lot more interesting visually. And I think, like I said, the character models look great. And overall, I think they did a really good job. And remember, if you do want to see what's in this box, then hit the subscribe button and turn on that bell notification so you get the notification when I release the unboxing video very soon. Thanks. Anyways, I just wanted to share my love for the series, and if you love it as well, leave a comment down below telling me what you like about the series, any memories you have, your experiences with the series, and I would love to read them. Thanks a lot. Later.